You know that feeling when you're standing in the grocery aisle looking at two nearly identical jars of pasta sauce and you find yourself frozen? It isn't that you don't know what you want, it's that you've already mapped out the nutritional density, the price per ounce ratio, and the potential chemical aftertaste of the preservatives in both. While the people around you are simply grabbing a jar and moving on with their lives, you are trapped in a simulation of your own making. You might have several degrees or a career that looks impressive on paper, yet you spend 20 minutes debating a 5-pound purchase. This isn't just about sauce. It's the same feeling you get when you're staring at a blank email for an hour, or why you feel like a monumental disappointment despite having a resume that others would envy. Most of the time, the world looks at this and gives it a label. They call it procrastination, or being difficult, or perhaps just a lack of real-world common sense. There's a subtle, persistent shame that comes with being told you have so much potential, yet feeling like you are constantly tripping over your own feet. But this isn't the character flaw, and it certainly isn't laziness. It is a specific, documented pattern of how certain brains interact with a world that wasn't necessarily built for their frequency. It is a weight that comes with seeing too much, and it is something that is rarely explained to the people actually carrying it. The truth is that there's a quiet paradox at the heart of high intelligence. We're taught that a high IQ is a golden ticket to a smooth life, but for many, it functions more like a hyperbrain, a state of acute observation and relentless cognitive activity that can be as exhausting as it is enlightening. In the world of neuroscience and behavioral science, this often manifests as analysis paralysis. While a typical brain might see a problem and find the direct path to a solution, a highly intelligent brain sees a problem and immediately identifies 42 variables, 15 potential points of failure, and 3 historical precedents that suggest the solution might not even be worth the effort. You aren't stuck because you're slow, you're stuck because your internal processor is running so many simulations at once that the hardware is overheating. This pattern often traces back to a very specific kind of adaptation. Many people who feel this way were the gifted children who breezed through early education without ever having to learn how to struggle. When everything comes easily to you as a child, your identity becomes fused with your intelligence. You aren't just a kid who's good at math, you are the smart one. But this creates a dangerous mental fragility. Because you never learn to fail in a low-stakes environment, the first time life knocks you down, you don't just feel like you made a mistake, you feel like a fraud. You begin to view failure not as a lesson, but as proof that your intelligence was a lie all along. In this light, overthinking isn't just a habit, it's a survival strategy used to avoid the catastrophic shame of being exposed as anything less than perfect. It is important to recognize that this way of being is not better or worse than any other. Different people are simply wired with different cognitive architectures. Some brains are built like sleek, fast-moving cars designed for the highway, while others are like complex, heavy machinery capable of incredible depth but requiring significant effort to steer. Neither is right, but society tends to reward the highway car because it's easier to measure and fits more neatly into a 9-to-5 schedule. When you feel like a failure, it's often because you're trying to measure the performance of a deep-sea submersible by how well it drives on a suburban street. There is a surprising layer to this, a hidden cost that many people don't talk about, the loneliness of the intelligent fool. There is a specific kind of isolation that occurs when you struggle to find intellectual equals, or when your advanced vocabulary and complex thoughts create unintentional barriers in your relationships. You might find yourself stuttering through basic small talk while being able to solve equations that would leave others baffled. This leads to a profound emotional disconnect, where you prioritize logic over feelings because logic is the language you speak best. The trade-off is that while you can deconstruct the world with surgical precision, you often feel alienated from the very people you want to be close to. You are looking for a deep, meaningful exchange in a world that often seems content with the superficial. This brings us to the most painful part of this experience, imposter syndrome. It is one of the great ironies of the human mind that the more you know, the more you realize what you don't know, which only fuels the fear that you fooled everyone into thinking you're capable. You attribute your successes to luck or timing rather than your own skill. You set standards for yourself that are so high they make Mount Everest look short. And when you inevitably fall short of those impossible ideals, you sink into a cycle of self-criticism and dissatisfaction. You are achieving, perhaps even excelling, but because you're constantly reevaluating past actions and seeking flaws, you never actually feel successful. If you feel this way, please understand that you are not broken. Your experience makes perfect sense when you look at the architecture of your mind. The pressure you feel to excel, the relentless pursuit of perfection, and the burnout that follows are the natural results of a high-powered system trying to operate without a manual. This way of being has immense value, but its value isn't always found in the fast-paced, high-prestige metrics of the modern world. It is found in the depth of your insight, your ability to see patterns others miss, and the unique way you process the beauty and complexity of existence. Your value is not a tally of your achievements, and your intelligence is not a debt you owe to society. It is simply a part of who you are. The goal isn't to fix your brain so that it stops overthinking, but to learn how to live with its complexity without letting it crush you. You are allowed to be imperfect. You are allowed to make simple choices without a 15-page spreadsheet. You are allowed to be more than just your intellect. If this resonated with you, there is a lot more to understand about the way your mind navigates the world, especially when it comes to the quiet ways we often hold ourselves back without even knowing it. Perhaps it's time we look a little deeper into the parts of ourselves we've been taught to hide. If you liked the video, make sure to like and subscribe.